Hi everyone, welcome back to the Linux. Today we are going to see about classification in supervised learning. The classification will tells the machine to sort the things into a categories. It will learn by seeing the example within a labels, and after learning it, it will decide which data can belongs to which classes. It's like when the new email comes, it will tells about it's a spam mail or a not spam mail. There are three types in the classification: binary classification, multi-class classification, and multi-label classification. In binary classification, there is only two classes, class 1 and class 2. When the new inputs like x1, it will tells about the x1 either in the class 1 or either in the class 2. In multi-class classification, it has a n number of classes, and the inputs like x1 can belongs to either any of this in any of one this class. For example, x1 belongs to c1. The multi-labeled classification is in a special type of classification wherein it will allows the data point can be in a part of all the classes at once. For example, let's take an input as x1 and let's assume they have any three classes c1, c2, c3. The multi-labeled classification will tells the input can be in the part of its class in the form of probability. For example, the probability of x1 can belongs to the class 1 is 0.6, and probability of x1 can belongs to a class 2 is 0.1, and probability of x1 can belongs to a class 3 is 0. Let's take 9. It will measure the given data points can be the class or not based on the threshold. For example, sorry, for example, let's take a threshold as 0.5. Usually we take a threshold as 0.5, and whether the which class has a probability greater than the threshold, then the data can be become in the classes. For example, in this case, the x1 can belongs to c1 and c3. C2 is the x1 cannot be in the c2 because the probability of the c1 belongs to c2 is lesser than the threshold. How does the classification in machine learning will works? Data collections. We need to train the model, right? So that we need a data. For that, we will collect the data either in the internet or in the we can take in a survey within a user or in a clients. After collecting the data, we will find the some features that may helps to distinguish between the one class from the another classes. After extracting the features, we will split the data sets into two parts like 80 percentage and 20 percentage. The 80 percentage of data used to train the model. During the training process, it will find some hidden patterns and relationship between the inputs and outputs. After trained, we will test the model using these 20 percentage of data set. During the testing process, we can see that how much our model will works good in the uh, unseen data. If the testing after testing, we will use to predict the unseen data in real world examples. The model evaluation, it will measure how much our model will works good at unseen data. We will use the different types of accuracy and precisions, something something like that. We will measure with that accuracy and precisions. How we classify the data, till now we understand the basics in the classification, right? But how will it will classify? There are two types: class separation and decision separation. Let's take an example of in a spam mails, and labels. For simplicity, I will take x1, x2, x3 and labeled as 0, 1, 0. 0 means not spam and 1 means spam. In class separation, it will extract the futures from the mails. It will extract some futures from the mails and put in the uh, put in the class which as in a similar futures. In this case, it will put in the 0. In simple terms, it will extract the futures in the mails and put into the class which has in a similar features like this. And second one is decision boundary. In this case, the it will draw the boundaries between the classes. For example, let's draw the points. This is class 1 and this is class 2. In this case, the boundary decision will draw the boundaries like this and draw the boundaries. In the decision boundary, it simply draw the boundaries between the classes. So whenever the new data will comes, like it will find the distance between this the point between all the classes and which the class it's closely to the data point, it goes in the that classes. In this case, it will goes in class 1. Classification algorithms. Usually, the classification algorithms are divided into two types: linear classifier and non-linear classifier. To understand this, we will take in a simple straight line equation: y equal to mx plus. The x is called as independent variable and y is called as dependent variable because the y is depends on m, x and c, and in x does not depend on the any of this. This linear equation, if you draw the graph like this, assume this is in a straight line. Whenever the x increases, there is also the increasing in y. It has a linear relationship between them. This is called as linear relationship. Uh, when the data have a linear relationship between the input and the outputs, we can solve them using some linear classifier algorithms like logistic regression and support vector machines like that. When the data doesn't have any linear relationships like this, for example, let's take this is in a class 1 and we will take another class like this is class 2. We can see that the class 2 doesn't have any linear relationship. We can see that there is no, it is in a complex structure, right? There is no straight line or any specific shapes. It has in a random shape. For this, we can use some non-linear classifiers to solve these types of problem. These are the linear classifier algorithms, and these are the non-linear types of algorithms. In the upcoming videos, we will discuss the each algorithms along with in a small example. Thank you.